And then let me do this.
Okay, cool. And the way it's coming up on
Perfect.
the way it's coming up on YouTube also is just me and you, Cesar. So hi, Lyndon. Oh, what a cute kitty.
Hi there. Hi there. I just got out of yoga class, so I'm just gonna leave my kitty up if that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. Let us begin. I'm gonna start with, so I did burn a little bit of Palo Santo here, and I invite everyone in the space to burn some of your smudge or to light a candle if that feels right. There's no pressure to do so, but if we do this, then it's kind of like setting the ceremonial tone for this mushroom free church service. Okay.
Of course, I can't find a lighter. A lighter and some water.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for gathering. I am Gabi Chai Bird from the Universal Ministry of Transcendence, and I am here today with Cesar Marin of Cultivating Wisdom. We are going to do a short breath work and meditation. The breath work is tied into the meditation. It's very brief, and then we are going to hear about Cesar's amazing story of self-rediscovery, authenticity, and microdosing. And Cesar was one of the awesome people that I met at the Remind conference, the psychedelic business conference in Las Vegas. And I've just been waiting for an opportunity to work with him to some capacity. So this seemed like a perfect segue into who knows what else to come. But yeah, I'm very excited and honored to present him to you guys. I think he's a super authentic person and someone that has a big reach because he speaks from the heart. He is fearless. And that's kind of like what we need these days is like real people telling their stories and, people that we can connect with without this like screen of everything's perfect, like we want the truth. So, okay. The meditation that I have chosen is something that I picked up from a book by Max Freedom Long. So Max Freedom Long, Growing into the Light, and I have some of his other books here in the store in Palmer. But this book was actually introduced to me by the publisher. Max Freedom Long, he writes about something he calls Huna magic, and you could trace Huna back to the Huns of Asia. You could trace Huna back to Polynesian nature-based religions. But Max was kind of like he marched to sort of the beat of his own drum. And part of the reason for that was because he was not really accepted when he was not Hawaiian, but when he traveled to Hawaii in the early 1900s, hopefully I am giving the dates right. I'm notoriously bad for remembering like statistics and dates. But when he traveled there, he was not really like given the knowledge and wisdom of the kahunas and the local indigenous people, but he was very, very interested in it. And he left the islands and he kind of like gave up. He thought he would never discover the secrets of that land and culture. But then it dawned on him that he could maybe channel things or pull from various different religions to explore this secret magic. And huna, the word huna means secret in Hawaiian. And so the meditation, so you can, with all religious texts, we're a non-dogmatic and non-denominational church. And but that said, I'm very interested personally in a lot of people that are part of the church and that, you know, come into the store, which is owned by the church. They come in because they are interested in spirituality and interpretations, and they're coming up with their own interpretations. And that's kind of what Max Freedom Long did. He pulled from things that he was learning and from cultures that he was interested in, and he put together something really beautiful. I'm sure not without its controversy, but we don't have to accept full literal explanations as complete truth. We are open and invited to pull what works for us. So I really like this meditation where he talks about the low. Actually, he talks about it a lot: the low, the medium, and the high self. And the high self being like the divine, like universal consciousness, like our higher power, they call it in AA, or God. There are our God power. And so the low self, but the higher self and the medium self, they don't have like earthly vitality. So actually our bodies here on earth, we eat and we consume so that we have energy, and that kind of like powers the medium and higher self. So what we can do now to kind of tune into the higher self is we can do some mana, which is breath work. So I'm going to use this drum. By the way, my instruments that I'm using today are so super beautiful. This is an elk drum.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you make that?
No, this is made by my friend Oscar Rojas. He's an amazing
Oscar Rojas, nice.
Oscar Rojas. Yeah, he's Mexican, but he lives in San Jose. And he makes traditional Aztec drums, like the big ones. He does like incredible carvings. He actually made that drone flute, my Native American drone flute.
Oh, did he? Nice, beautiful.
Yeah, so he's someone that you can get, but we have these drums actually at the store for sale, but we're going to use it right now.
That's a beautiful drum. That's a beautiful drum.
The sound is like amazing, and you can change. It's very like transparent. He does classes where you can make these drums too, like in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Hopefully someday he'll come up here. But for now, I just I bought some drums for resale up here. But anyway, so okay, so
there's an institute. I was going to say there's an institute here in Atlanta that they do workshops on, and they make drums. So it is a beautiful art. It's a beautiful art.
It is, and using the drum for ceremony has been like, you know, for millennia, humans have been using beats and rhythm to connect with their, what we could call higher selves, and to connect with their communities also. And
I have
sound.
a great story about that.
Yeah, awesome. So, okay, so here's how we'll do the breath work. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. Just like that. Breathe in and breathe out. You might have some little boogers come out. Don't be ashamed. This is a very clearing and energizing breath. So after 10 on one side, then I want you to switch sides if you remember. If not, it's fine. It's too complicated. We're going to do it 20 breaths. So in, out. That's 1, 2. Okay, and then switch sides and in and out, and so we'll do 20 total. And with each breath, it's going to be 2 drums. So in, out. All right, are we ready to go? Yeah? Okay. Out. In, out. Thank you. Okay, so now that we're all energized and
That was clearing.
awesome, yeah. Okay, so the breath work is like a ladder to the higher self, and so is the intention. So let's go into the intention now. This is going to be just a brief meditation, but it's something that you can check in with anytime you want, and keeping it in mind on the daily is, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a question, and I think the answer will come from that higher self. So picture it like a ladder. So picture in your imagination what things you might try to become or accomplish with the help of the high self. Just take a minute to feel into that. Picture in your imagination what things you might try to become or accomplish with the help of the high self. Whatever the high self means to you. Maybe you do subscribe to a certain religion. Okay. Picture various conditions in which you are the center and pivotal point. Ask yourself if such a condition, if brought about, would hurt others in any way in the course of being prayed into actuality. And ask whether each condition is good and worthy of the efforts of yourself and your high self. You can make this the start of a daily effort to understand your life aims or lack of them. You can make it a first step in reaching decisions as to what you will pray for when you have taught the low self enough to begin sending very simple little prayers, such as those for guidance, inspiration, and health. Okay. I hope that was enough
Very
time
true.
for you to, for you
That
to.
was very true.
Yeah. I thought it was really beautiful. So thank you for allowing me to share that with you guys. And
it was very grounding. It was very in a way, we have to live in that humble self, no? Because that takes us to that higher self. And I think it talked a lot about that. So that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Gabi. I appreciate
absolutely. That. Thank you. So now, Cesar, we are super interested in what you would have brought to us today. So I'll leave it to you, and then we'll make time at the end for a little back and forth and some questions. Okay.
Definitely. Gabi, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for the true connection that we made. Remind was a wonderful event. It was the culmination of my 1 year journey into the psychedelic space and how it's really changed my life. And it brought about a lot of connections that I know I'm going to take forward, not only this year, but moving forward. And you, of course, being one of them, I think that right away when you get this vibrational sense when you're in someone's presence, that there's something about them. There's something about just how they carry themselves and how they really come with the heart when they're talking to you, and how you get a sense of peace and you get a sense of connection and harmony. So I really appreciate you for creating that in that space that we shared, and henceforth, again, having me here to chat with you a bit. So what took me to somehow cross paths with you, right? Which is how all this happens in the universe, makes things evolve. About a year and a half ago at this time, I was a producer at CNN. I had been a producer there at CNN for 25 years, and had gotten to the point, like a lot of people my age, who were just comfortable. I had a good job. Everything was perfect. But they were going through the motions. You're walking in at 4 o'clock in the morning going, how long am I going to be here doing this? They're going to roll me down escalators at age 65 and say, thank you for your services, and you go retire. And it just so happens that at that time, about a year and a half ago, this is October of 2022, plant medicine comes into my life. And it comes through a recreational curiosity, which then turned into a healing process. And it just so happens that plant medicine comes into my life right when my life is going to be about to get turned on its head. Because after being at CNN for 25 years, I realized that I'm going to get laid off and I'm not going to have a job anymore. And what am I going to do? And who's hiring a 55-year-old unless you're a super senior executive producer of something? It's, if you're producing really good half-hour sports shows, where are you going to go? And it was crazy because the medicine pretty much told me, put your feet on the ground, take a deep, deep breath, and we're going to close this 25-year chapter, and we're going to open up this whole brand new chapter. We're going to bring in people like Gabi into your life, and you're going to create this movement platform / educational vehicle called Cultivating Wisdom, which is going to be a way for people to manifest the fact that they're using psychedelics in a responsible way. And it's something that you talked about earlier, which was showing off that we're normal people. We're normal, everyday people. We're fathers, we're mothers, we're husbands, we're wives, we're sons, we're daughters, we're aunts, we're uncles, we're professionals, we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners, we're church owners, we're part of our communities, we vote, we volunteer, and yes, we use psychedelics. We use them as life performance enhancers. So I created this apparel brand to use, apparel that's not tie-dye, that's not trippy, that's not psychedelic, that I can wear this and I can have a conversation with somebody about microdosing or about psychedelics or about mushrooms, and I don't look like I'm off going to Grateful Dead concerts because it's very tie-dye, and that can sometimes happen. Right? That sometimes can happen. So we did apparel. So we have stuff like this. It says something that says microdosing. Why? Because this elicits conversation. I wear a shirt that says microdosing. Someone says, "Oh, you microdose? I've heard about that. I've read about that. Can you cultivate me with some wisdom so that I can smile like you're smiling?" Or someone says, "Oh, you microdose? So do I. How's it going? How's it been? I've been microdosing ayahuasca, and it's been working really well." Or I'm on this protocol. Or you know what? I've been feeling this before. How do you feel? So it's apparel like this. You know what I mean? We want to honor the mushrooms. So we have a shirt that says "Mush Love." We have to honor the mushrooms. And then as the apparel brand grew, and I started to share my story on social media about how one, microdosing and psychedelics were able to keep me from living in a storm of depression, right? If I would have done this, if I would have done that, if I would have taken my boss flowers, maybe I wouldn't have gotten laid off. That's the past. Or some, in the sea of anxiety. What am I going to do 5 years from now? How am I going to keep this roof over my head? What am I going to do? You can't live that. So the plant medicine and especially the microdosing really helped me to put my feet on the ground and say, we got this. We're going to be able to do this. And it was a year of really launching a product and then realizing that there was this bridge between people my generation, people over 50, Generation Xers, and true education about psychedelics. So I've decided to create this platform which talks to people my age, talks to people, who were programmed, psychedelics are bad, you're gonna change your mind, you're gonna go crazy. No, I'm living proof, you're living proof that use correctly, use with intentions, right? With intentions, safely, in the right setting, they can really change. So the idea is to really poke at people's childhood curiosity about psychedelics, about plant medicine, about something that the earth has given us. Because Gabi, let's be honest. What's sometimes the alternative? You go to a doctor who's going to say, "I don't know what you have, but how about we try these pills?" And if those don't work, come back and try some other ones. And if not, we'll sort of, but doc, what do I have? We're not sure. Well, how about if maybe I try something that the earth has given us that has been used for centuries? Our ancestors used these medicines to cure, to heal, to unite, right? So why can't I try that first? And that's the idea. You know, my story is unique. Everybody's story is unique. Everybody has a beautiful story with psychedelics of how it really has changed. Not everyone, obviously, but there's a lot of people, you know, who are really manifesting this awakening, and I just feel that it's my mission now to go from someone who is very corporate world, CNN, that to helping people awakening, right? Talking about psychedelics and how they've helped me, talking about psychedelics and how they've helped people in the military and veterans, because that's very close to me. You know, so there's a lot of things that to talk about. I'm really grateful that somehow the universe has thrown me in this ocean of this wave of psychedelics, this new renaissance, and just, you know, really looking forward to where we go next, where all of us go next, all of us in this space.
Yeah, thank you so much for this, bringing this seemingly, like, it's such a like a simple idea, and it's like so powerful, just like starting the conversation with a word that you can wear on your body that is like a signal, because there's so many questions, and people sometimes don't know where to start, or they're afraid of the stigmas that can come from, like you said, like generational stigmas, or you know, stigmas within like a community that doesn't have a lot of experience, maybe, or the experience they have is something from like a more recreational, like child, like teenager days of, yeah, well, I took mushrooms when I was a teenager and it was really scary. And but like starting to see, like you said, responsible people who you know, somewhat like have that are healthy, you know, they're using it. And one of the things at that conference that was really awesome to me was like hearing about the statistics of people who take psychedelics, like that they're more that regularly now, that they have less affiliation with tobacco and alcohol, that they're more highly educated in most cases. A lot of them are women. A lot of them are employed, like the employment rate amongst people who use psychedelics more than a certain amount of times per month is like higher than the national average. And when you, and not to dog on like cannabis, because cannabis is like a you know, it helps a lot of people, and there's a lot to say about cannabis, but you know, it is a healing plant on this green earth. And yeah,
I think when used correctly with intentions.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like anything, like it's just like anything. You're absolutely correct. It's
even the tobacco is like a very, I mean, it's the apex plant in Native American religions to send prayer to the, you know, the ancestors up and down the Americas.
Yeah, up and down the Americas. In the Andes, they use tobacco. Yes, of course.
Absolutely. It's a huge part of the Amazonian culture, of North American native cultures. And even up here in Alaska, there's these mushrooms here, right here, Felinus ignius. It's also behind me here. That's a nicotine agonist. It increases nicotine uptake, so people can take it on its own. Yeah, and also it's called ikmik in Inuit language, also known as punk ash. You can mix the ash with tobacco. So anyway, it's the plants can be very powerful, but when approached with respect, curiosity, which I think what you're doing is like, it seems to me that you're trying to provoke curiosity, conversation, when we explore things in conversation, like, hey, like, do you get tired when you microdose, or like, how much do you take? How often do you take it? Because we've been trained like recently to like disconnect from our health, to put our health into the hands of somebody else who is like a licensed and medically trained. Now, I'm not trying to dog on Western medicine. I'm not a medical professional.
I will. I'll dog on Western medicine real quick.
Well, you know, in a way, yes,
no.
but it is also, it does save lives. It saved my life before. So there's a, but it does seem to fall short on a lot of chronic issues. And it also is like a very like enraptured, like there and encapsulate, like it gets you in, and then you start to have like more problems, more side effects, and you're not supposed to stop taking it, and you're not going to know until, you know, a month from now if it even works. And then if you want to get off it, that's not possible. And, you know, I've seen family members and even myself for periods of time having struggled with depression, or, you know, most of my life, until I really got serious about utilizing psychedelics and that all started, you know, 10 years ago, when it was still a thing that hippies did, you know, and there was a lot of stigma. And I went into these like spirals that were like really hard, of like not being able to work, like not being accepted by my family. Not that they like are bad or anything, but they were like, what are you doing? You know, like it was scary for them. But like I literally needed to decondition myself. And I was in so much pain and such disorganization, that my life kept being messed up and I kept falling, you know? And so I really do credit a lot to working with the mushrooms, working in ceremonial spaces in Colombia with the ayahuasca.
But you did? You went to Colombia?
I've been to Colombia. And are you Colombian?
I am.
Yeah. So I've been traveling to Colombia since 2006.
Really?
Yeah, I've spent like probably almost a year living there. I've lived in Bogota. I've spent time in Medellin, and I've spent time in Cali, and then I've spent most recently more time in Mocoa in the Putumayo region, which is like where the ayahuasca is. So
working with ayahuasca? Okay.
Yeah.
With yahe, as they call it.
Yahe, exactly.
Yeah.
So I went to take the yahe with the taitas there, and it was not through any sort of, it wasn't through any sort of internet thing, you know, but I just knew to go there. So I went there and I found it, and it was so magical. So they actually aren't really doing it anymore because they've aged, they're elderly. And that's a hard job. You know,
they didn't pass it down. There wasn't any lineage that they could pass it down to.
They're passing it down to some local people, but for them, I think it's hard. You know, when I was there was a couple of people that they were passing it down. When I was there last in 2015, the tree, because they grew their own, the bush, the vine.
Yeah, the vine.
It blew over. Like from one day to the next. Like I was there, and then I came back a couple of days later, and the bush was gone. And I'm like, and they're like, the wind blew the bush over. It's like done. Like we're done. You know, they built a house, and he was like on dialysis. They're amazing people. It was a couple. And they weren't, you know, coming directly from Shipibo lineage or anything, but they have indigenous blood for sure. They weren't raised in indigenous like culture. They were raised like city people. And I think that's okay. You know, I think they did such a good job. They were so much from the heart, always talking about guacamayo and the water and the fire and el jaguar, like talking about the different animals, the guacamayo is the parrot, talking about what we're doing. You know, we're not just like doing this for fun, and it can definitely be fun, but we're also doing it for healing ourselves, our lineage, our families, our communities, everybody that we can, like reaching, you know, healing ourselves and letting that span out even to Mother Earth herself. And that was really like the bottom line, was like healing with Mother Earth and healing the earth that is, you know, crying for our help. That was a big part of the ayahuasca ceremony. So I was really grateful to experience that ceremonial use and consumption many times. And I went back more than once
Did you?
to visit. Yeah. I also get to take mushrooms in Colombia, but most of the
Did
mushrooms,
you?
yeah, I did in Santander,
Okay.
straight out of the cow fields, you know,
Really?
and
Okay.
in
Straight
San
out.
Augustine, Colombia, they have a very big shamanic culture around mushrooms.
Okay.
Um, and
San Augustine. Good to
I
know.
have not experienced it so much. However, I took what I learned from ayahuasca ceremony, and I took what I learned from traveling in other parts of living with Mapuche in Chile, living with different people around South America, because I feel like down there it was easier for me to get involved with ceremony,
Okay.
and I took that back here to and really started to learn about mushrooms. The beauty of mushrooms is that they're easily cultivated. You don't have to go to the
Correct.
Amazon. You don't have to cut down
Yeah.
a bush or
No.
anything, and you can go just as far, you know, or not with the mushroom. So
Yeah.
it's got less of an environmental impact, and it has it can just do so much for us. So yeah, I definitely need to get one of your mush loves shirts. I say that a lot.
There is something about the mushrooms that we were actually talking to someone today who talked about how the mycelial connection to the world is almost like every connection we have in our body, right? That we mimic our body, and how everything is connected mimics a lot that mycelial network, and how if the mycelial network connects to stuff that's bad, it could turn into bad mycelial and then sort of go and take oxygen from other plants. Your body can literally do the same thing. So there's something really to learn about mushrooms. I mean, they've become a huge part of my life in the sense of, and again, not just the um, medicinal mushrooms in the sense of hallucinogen mushrooms, but even the functional mushrooms. You know, the lion's mane and the reishi and the shanga and the cordyceps. You know how really they've become a part of our everyday healing is really beautiful. It's really, we're really grateful. We're really grateful, as you can tell. There's mushrooms everywhere you look around the house. They've become part of my life, and it's funny because if a year and a half ago someone would have said, Cesar, your life's completely going to change and mushrooms are going to really take over your life in a sense, I would have been like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? There's no way that's going to happen. So um, it's 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 wonderful how there's this, like you said, this new awakening of people being curious. Um, and I'm a big proponent. Like I tell people, look, we're going to talk to 5 people about psychedelics, about mushrooms, about potential healing, about microdosing, about what's going on. 2 of them are going to say, "There's no way in the universe ever that I'm going to take a psychedelic. You're crazy. I heard about it. I read about it. You go crazy. People end up in loony bin. It's I know people who end up in the psychiatric ward. No, you don't. You don't know anybody that ended up in the psychiatric ward. You're gonna have 2 people that you're gonna poke at their childhood curiosity, and they're gonna go, really? Like they're using psychedelics as medicine for people to get over depression and anxiety and PTSD, and they're using it in studies, and 30 academic institutions are doing studies on psychedelics, and major companies are investing in this. Yeah, but you're gonna have that one person that's gonna go, what? Hold on a second. Let me do a little research because I'm in. I'm in. I saw the change. I saw how that person's life completely turned around. And the only thing that really changed was that they brought psychedelics into their life, and whether those psychedelics made them have a conscious awakening of, this is where your life is, and this is what maybe you need to look at, to microdosing, where it's like, you know what, just a little bit more mindful of where I am. And I'm really grateful. And I realized that, you know what, Gabby, you know when the best day of my life was? The best day of
When
my life is right now, right here, right. This is the best day of my life, because I can say, oh no, you know what? It was back when it was a cruise, and my family and my spouse was there, and I had a drink in my hand. And it was a Caribbean, and the kids were there, and Mickey Mouse came by, and I gave him a high five, and everything was wonderful. But you know what? I'm no longer with that person. My kids are grown up. If I was in an all-you-can-eat buffet on a cruise right now, I'd probably be like, mm. So the best day of my life is right now. And if that's what microdosing helps me to realize, It doesn't get any better than this conversation you and I are having, for both of us, then you're lost of it. So it's that mindful awakening that if we can bring that to people, it's like I tell people, it's totally impossible to close that door of anxious thoughts of the future and to completely close that door of depressive thoughts of the past. But the more you can keep them closed, and the more you can live right here, it's so much, life is so much better. Life is, you breathe so much easier. You're so much more at peace because it is what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. Life is just is. It is what it is, and it's how you flow through it. It's almost that's I'm sure the term of finding the flow, or just going with the flow on a psychedelic journey, is what you should go through life as.
Yeah, as above, so below. It's like the mushroom journey is like a metaphor for life, and like the more, there's things that you do want to hold on to, and that stuff is keeping us here and keeping us in love and stuff, and I feel like with the mushrooms also, like I've had a better like radar of like my boundaries, that like more objectively, like, and when I take kind of little higher doses nowadays, I tune in even more to it. It'll be like, okay, the way that path is a little bit of a red flag, but this path is like feeling like I'm able to like feel into it and like feel into like what really is intuition and what is like something else, like fear, or like somebody else's thing, or and so I'm able to like look at my problems more objectively, and like all of that, everything you're saying, staying in the moment is like, to me, that's like totally spiritual, and it comes back to like having faith in the moment. Like it's all semantics, but it's like, I know that it's darkest before the dawn. I recognize patterns. I see them in nature and I see them in my life, and it doesn't stay like this. It changes. Everything
every day, every second
is a new opportunity. Yeah. So I feel like it's like the parts of my brain, like mycelium, like working better together, and just everything being more connected, like inside and then even outside, because like the people that when I started to really follow the mushroom path, and like you said, it's not just psilocybin, it's not just amanita. I'm talking about chaga. We just had a chaga circle up here in Anchorage. We had a big turnout. It was so beautiful. The people were so awesome. Afterwards, everyone was giving each other their phone numbers and, wanting to do it again with each other, something else. And like, it was just so cool. And that was all based around chaga. The birch forest here. So it doesn't have to be a psychedelic mushroom, but to me, all the mushrooms are a sacrament. All the mushrooms are a gift. And but the psilocybin, I think, is what really, really started to like open my mind and like open the doors to like being able to like respect the plants, leave behind like toxic traits that I was holding on to. And it's a process, none of us are perfect.
The work, I always say the work is never finished. The work is never finished. There's always work to be done. And the ideal goal is to be better than you were yesterday, but not as good as you're going to be tomorrow. There's always room for growth. We're all works in progress. It's not about being perfect. If you strive for that, it's very easy to fall. It's about being consistent. It's about being consistent in your beliefs and what you really, in your mission, whatever your mission is, to hold true to that mission, and move forward in it with all of your heart. I think if you do that, then it's, like you said, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, like trying to figure out like what is my intuition, what is my mission, and trying to say, okay, this from that, like no to that, but yes to this. And like, does it feel good? It feels good,
Hmm.
you know? And people
You
that
just,
are feeling,
it's hold on. It's so funny that you say that because I've been using that line a lot with people lately, where they're like, you know what? Well, I'm in this thing, I'm in that thing, or whatever. This is on my mind, and I always ask them, if you're saying yes to that, what are you saying no to? Right? So it's like what you said, say no to whatever because you need to say yes to other things, right? So
Mhm.
that's really important. So it's but once you're saying yes to whatever that is, what is it that you're saying no to? Are you saying no to happiness? Are you saying no to, being really in tune with yourself? Are you being saying no to being healthy? You're saying no, whatever it is. So that's really smart what you just said.
Yeah, it's I think that's the self-actualization part too, because we're creating ourselves really. Like what we do becomes who we are. What we think becomes what we do. What
Correct.
we do becomes who we are. And there's so much pressure to be, you got to exercise every day and you got to eat the right food and you got to make a lot of money and you got to, be this and that. And it's like, no, it doesn't look like that perfectly for everyone. It's just like doing like you said, it's like not striving for perfection, but like doing what we can to like feeling a little better and then like doing a little
Hmm.
better and seeing the result and being like, okay, this is like good. And like, giving to ourselves, like giving back to ourselves and really just like, um, that is like the self-actualization. Like, what did I come here to do? Like, am I doing what I need, what I feel called to do, and answering
Hmm.
that call, fearlessly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when I thought of when I don't even want to take credit for it. It's like it came through me. Like, and that's what like um I'm like open. I'm in service, and so the things that I'm doing, it's not really like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's what it feels like. It's like I'm just doing what I got to do. And since I've like surrendered in that way, my life has become way better. And by surrender, I mean like when the thought of the chaga circle came, it was like, okay, yeah, this needs to be done. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
weird. Are people is it simple? Is it like, no, like there's a reason this is coming through. And it's like for you too, with like cultivating wisdom, it's like, I'm sure you had moments when you're like, what am I doing? Like,
I still have
we
those
all,
moments.
exactly. But you're answering the call and look at how much beauty and bounty and positive feedback, like, people are attracted to you, like, coming to you and you're helping people. And
Yeah.
and yeah, there's that questioning, and that keeps us in check too. It's like, okay, well, like I do need to like, make it better in this way, and it does need to be like this, or it's gonna not work, or like whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like answering those calls, like those deep calls, it's like it's not always comfortable, but it's like it keeps coming up. Like if I don't do it, what am I doing? I got to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. You got to. Yeah. Yeah. You got to. Yeah. And I think it's sort of sometimes it's those doubts and those fears, right, that keep people stuck in that situation. Um, and when you come to the realization that the best remedy for fear and the best remedy for doubt is just action, just action, just take action. Whatever
Mhm.
that action is, just take action. Then there is no time for that doubt. There is no time for that fear because you're taking action to make sure that those fears and those doubts aren't there. So it is important. It is important, to keep yourself in check with that. It's
The mushrooms have helped
you.
me so much to get over that like take action block. Like even like now I tend to microdose like less often, but with a little more, like a little
Mhm.
higher. There were years when I was like taking mushrooms every day, and like people
Were
were
you
like,
okay?
"You're a nut." And I'm like, you know what? Like at a point I was just like, I gotta do, like I'm just doing what I gotta do. Like I don't want to like go down.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and it wasn't easy. It's
I think
like,
the medicine lets us know. I think the
yeah,
medicine.
exactly.
Hmm.
I really needed to rewire because it was really messed up. And
Yeah.
and but now it's like, yeah, like when I have those downs, and even just overall, like I feel like they've helped me get past that, like to think about and sit and stew, or just like to do it, like just do
Yeah.
it. man, like there's people that I want to be like, and people don't do it until they're ready or if they want to, you know, and
Correct.
you can't force people. Of course, I'm sure everyone here is like, oh, I would love to give mushrooms to this person, you know, and whether it's a personal choice. So it is
correct.
Just like that. But being good role models as we take them and showing like, hey, like I used to be stuck, like my house was a mess, like I couldn't do my dishes, like, you know, unfortunately, or whatever it's worth, that's not an uncommon problem these days because we're just so overwhelmed. It's like I can't do the littlest thing of self-care to wash my dishes so that I can make a meal to feed myself. And so now I'm living in this like thing that's like just totally going crazy. And the mushrooms can help you, like has helped me to like clean, because mushrooms clean. In nature, they clean. They clean up. Yeah. And that results in physical health. And when you're physically healthy, you're unstoppable. You don't need doctors. You don't need the government. And what's more, I'm sorry, here I go.
No. Good. It's
an act of rebellion. It is to be healthy and to be solid with your intuition and in mind. It is totally
it's an awakening.
Spiritual. It's awakening. And you can't help but when you're doing it, it infects everybody around you. So
because you know why it infects? Because people see the change, like people see the transformation. People see like, oh my God, this person before was sort of down. They were sort of a bit negative. They were this way, that way, whatever. And now look at them. Now they're thriving. I mean, most of the people, if not all of the people who are using psychedelics responsibly, who are using them intentionally, who are using them knowing that there's work to be done, that it's a work in progress, all those people, they're all in a good place, right? There's no one that's sort of, it's not like an opioid where it's like, you know, oh my God, I'm so addicted to this, or I can't live without this. There's many people that sort of get to the point where it's like, you know what, I don't need to microdose anymore, or not right now. I don't need to microdose right now. But there's moments where I need to microdose. There's moments where, you know what, I have a project that I'm working on and I want to really be focused. I want to really be in tune. And it's like, I tell people, look, microdosing is truly, especially at this moment, it's citizen science. It's citizen science. And you have to find your flow. You have to find your flow. You have to find your sweet spot. And sometimes you use the medicine to find that sweet spot because you need that flow. And sometimes you flow without the medicine. And like I said, the medicine will let you know. And you made a great point where it's, you know, how many times you're like, oh, you know what, that person should definitely do mushrooms. But it's, the medicine will let them know. I think everyone who has truly found a difference in life through the medicine's the one has found them. It's not, they haven't gone, you know, let me seek out the medicine. The medicine somehow just found them and said, come here, let's sit down and chat.
Yeah, and there's very, like, I've gotten addicted to just about anything I've ever tried, but with the mushrooms, it's like, I don't, there's days that I do want to, and there's a lot of days that I don't want to, and I don't. And so the potential for addiction is so low for many different reasons, which we don't have to go into all of it today, but and then also people have had bad experiences with things like cannabis, and I also have a lot to say about that. But I won't go like too deep down, but like cannabis has been, and I suppose that maybe mushrooms could be like desecrated in the future, but like the commodification, is that the word, of cannabis, and trying to make an ever stronger cannabis and to and these psychoactive like states with the cannabis that are just so strong and powerful, yet it's available in almost everywhere in stores. It can really freak people out, and I just want to send the message that it's not the same. I was addicted to cannabis, but I'm not trying to talk bad about cannabis, because cannabis gives, and it gave to me, it gave to my husband, and it gave to so many people in my community. But we've come to a point where we don't consume. I do work with like high acid cannabinoids, but I don't work with THC anymore because it was just not the time for me anymore. But there were years where it carried me through. But I think like mushrooms are much different, and they're at a different like stage right now. I also think that plant medicines, they go through different like eras. Like in the 80s, it was like coca, coke, you know, it was like work, like go, go, go. The 90s was like, you know, like starting to be like the heroin and stuff, the grunge and then like alcohol. I mean,
opioids,
yeah, and then like cannabis being really big, like up until recently, and now because we wanted to shut off, it was like turn it off. You know, I can't deal. Like, no, zone out, turn out, come in, and so my friend is here. We're on a Zoom meeting for the ministry.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And then now it's like a big awakening. Everyone's like so sick of being lied to. They're seeking truth, and the mushrooms can really help like illuminate. So
here's a bit my take on cannabis, right? Because I also was addicted to cannabis. I have respect for cannabis. I think cannabis, like many medicines and many plants that the earth has given us, can be used correctly with the right intentions. I just feel that cannabis is a bit of an escapism substance, or can lead to that. And like you said, there is the potential, and people say, "Oh no, cannabis isn't addictive. Everything's addictive. Everything. Sugar's addictive. Coffee's addictive. Shoplifting's addictive. Pornography is addicting. You know,
complaining is
addicting. Everything. Complaining is addicting. Everything's addicting. So it's you can't say that cannabis is not addictive. And the other thing is, the substance is not the addiction. The addiction is the person.
It's true. It's what's inside.
It's the human who's the addict, not the substance that's the addict. So with cannabis, it's one of these. I respect it, right? The problem is when someone lets the substance take over, right? And I know, because I was in that situation where cannabis became, let me escape first thing in the morning, and then let me escape on my way to work, and then let me escape while I'm at work, and then let me escape after work, and then let me escape. And I tell people, at least for me, because like people ask, well, aren't you changing, one substance for another substance? And I think the difference for me is that with cannabis, and I lived in the 80s in Miami, so there was white substance everywhere. There's a difference between using a substance to get high and using it to get enlightened. Like, no one microdoses to get high. They microdose to enlighten. People who take a museum dose to go to a party, or to go to a concert, or to go to a museum, might, yes, use it a bit to get high, but they're also wanting it to get enlightened, right? The same way, even
illuminate and add the sparkle, which you get from mushrooms, which some people that haven't experienced it, it's kind of hard to describe, but like, it's not like dissociative. It's like you're more in it, and it's like all of a sudden it's like you're more like a child, and you can like think in these like ways that are just more objective and like more creative. Someone recently told me, he came to me because he had tinnitus, and he started microdosing, and he said, well, it's helped my tinnitus, but what's really helped me a lot is that I haven't been creative in like years, and my creativity coming back. And it's like, okay, well, like, I don't think he even understood what I was talking about when I was like, what are the roots of the tinnitus? But it's like, now he's starting to dig under the roots, dig down his blockages. And I have faith. I think that mostly everything, of course, there's things we're going to have to live with, right? But like, if at least just more acceptance. That's why it's powerful for people that are dealing with really hard stuff, like incredible loss, incredible illness, incredible PTSD. It's just like really powerful way. But I want to like open it up now to people for, if it's okay with you. Yeah, let's open it up. If anyone has questions for Cesar, or if any of you guys want to share your own story, we want to open it up now. All you have to do is unmute yourself. And if you want to remain anonymous, you can put your question in the chat, or you can just leave your video off.
Hi, Gabby. Hi, Cesar. Thank you. This
Hey,
has been
Susie.
really a great presentation or talk. I'm not sure what you call it, but it's been super informative. And I'm relatively new to it. I did dabble, in the cow fields back when it wasn't so much about enlightenment as it was about getting high, but I definitely was enlightened, even if I was in the closet with somebody else. But yeah, I'm interested in it, and I'm learning more from Gabby all the time. And so I just really appreciate you two being here. Thank you.
That's awesome, Susie. So, Susie, are you using any plant medicine right now at all? Are you microdosing? Is it something that it's poked at your childhood curiosity? What stage are you at right now?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm
No, lie to me, please.
I'm trying Pure Bliss. It's one of
Okay.
Gabby's concoctions, and
Beautiful.
it's interesting because I don't know, I'll tell this story, but I was over at a friend's house and they had some Halloween candy on the table, and I thought, so there's Snickers and Milky Way, and usually I'm kind of drawn to Snickers, but there was one piece that looked like a fish, fish chocolate, and I thought, this looks Alaskan. I'm going to try this one. And this person was out of the room, and I thought they won't mind. It's on the table. It's Halloween candy. It was after Halloween, and so later that week, I heard from them, and they said, "Oh my gosh, how did you feel after you ate that chocolate?" And I said, "Well, I felt fine. I didn't, not why." And well, that had X amount of mushroom.
Or psilocybin in it, really?
Yeah. And
wow.
So all that to say, I that we're discussing and what's it called, like experimenting or something like that with what works for me. I don't know if I have a high tolerance to it, or it just has to be in a different. I had it liquid form. Maybe I think it was maybe some. Oh yeah, it was a tincture. I think was that what that was called, Gabby? At your grand.
It was the kombucha.
Yeah,
it was actually, it was fermented. So like, that was a different thing. So we make the kombucha and then we put the mushrooms in the kombucha. So maybe the enzymes like broke it down a little bit more.
Yeah. I felt
that was pretty strong. The kombucha was strong though too. So
yeah.
And Susie, you didn't feel anything with the kombucha either?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
I had some colors.
What was it?
I had some colors, some blues and pinks and stuff, and which I can only attribute to that because I don't normally see blues and pinks around people's heads.
You saw like auras?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you like feel emotionally different at all?
Yeah, I did. I felt lighter, freer. I don't know. I mean, those are kind of ambiguous terms, but I felt
authentic.
Yeah. That's
the authentic. Yeah. That's beautiful. Now, it's. I was going to say, Susie, with the chocolate, one, that's sort of, scary that there'd be a piece of chocolate out with other chocolate and not letting people know, hey, potentially there is some mushroom chocolate that's going around, so just be careful.
Well, it was a trusted person for sure.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
And I'm sure
and probably, I mean, really, the onus, whatever that means, the responsibility was on me to probably ask first in my teens. In my early days, I was a thief. I stole from my grandmother. I stole in my teens, so when I put it in that context, it's like, shoot, that wasn't mine to take.
Okay, it was my house. So
if it's Halloween, if it's Halloween and there's candy out.
We were laughing because my husband and my stepson, they know what that is. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
we were laughing about it, and not at her, but we were laughing before. We were like, "Oh, look, the salmon's in there. Like, don't eat it." And then like I'm like, "Yeah, right. I
And
want
of
it."
course, Susie comes. Susie comes and eats the salmon.
Yeah, and then I just
I
told
read this good. I thought this is certainly good chocolate. I mean, it's in the shape of a fish.
yeah. So yeah.
I'm guessing, you know what, sometimes especially with chocolate, it depends on dosage, but you know what, it's, again, if it's a microdose, what usually some chocolates are, you shouldn't really feel, you know, you should feel like life is good,
Yeah.
like life is awesome, like life is beautiful. And you know, so awesome, Susie, awesome that that plant medicine has somehow come into your life. It's, you know, it's good that it's poked at your childhood curiosity. And if you're being guided by Gabi, I have no doubt that you're getting, you know, the best experiences possible and the most potential possible out of these medicines. So good on you.
Yeah, I'm really blessed to know Gabi. She's a wealth of information, and she's so
Definitely.
willing to share what she knows. And you know, I
That's
I
important.
came just to back up. I came from a background of the last of 5 kids. Uh, dabbled in a lot of things, but the scare back in the 70s and the late 60s, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, was the whole LSD. And I don't know what else people were taking at that time, but I did know a family whose teens were ruined, you know, mentally. They were ruined by just not ever coming back from wherever they went. And so that didn't, it stopped me from getting into a lot of different things, but I will say that it is still there in my mind. And although I'm not doing LSD or whatever they were doing, that was what was mentioned at the time. I've done LSD. I've had good trips and I've had bad trips. But there is, just to be honest, there are some little things in my mind like, can I overdo it? Because I'm that personality. If a little's good, more is better. And so
Mm.
a little bit cautious.
You know what I'll say to that, Susie, and it's just because you're right. These are substances that one are very powerful, but are very beautiful, right? I think that if you go in to any psychedelic experience with intentions, right? If I there was a couple of people who asked me if I would sit for them a couple of weeks ago, and their intentions were, you know what, we're just three friends that want to get together and really bond. There was no spiritual, there was no I want enlightenment, there was no, that was their intentions, and they had a beautiful experience. So I think that if you go in with intentions, right, you can hold back on that. I'm just going to use this because, you know, more is better, or
Yeah.
because if I had an experience today, maybe tomorrow I'll have a better experience. So I think that was the problem in the 60s, that
Mhm.
there was a lot of substance use without intentions. It was just let's tune out. Let's just, you know, let's
Yeah.
just. I
Yeah.
think there's a consciousness now of realizing, again, when you intentions not only sort of give the medicine, whatever it is, a roadmap to what you're looking for, but it's also a way to keep oneself in check of, okay, why am I doing this?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, that sort of, you
Yeah.
know, is this, do I need to have this experience, this journey, or do I want to have this experience, this journey? And I'm a big believer that the medicine will find you. You know, I went to a retreat in Jamaica, you know, with the intention that it was just it was just a psilocybin retreat, and there was the potential to sit with 5-MeO on the last day. And I said, well, if the medicine came all the way to Jamaica to look for me, then I'm going to sit with the medicine. So it's sort of really listening to the medicine and really listening to yourself. And if you have intentions, then you'll be able to sort of keep yourself in check and keep that obstacle that you might have, that you might sense, you know, at bay.
I think that that three friends sitting together to bond is a spiritual endeavor.
Yeah.
It's so
Hmm.
beautiful.
No,
It's so
yeah,
simple.
yes.
And that's the thing is that I just love Ralph Waldo Emerson. There's certain things, of course, I don't resonate with every single part of his life, but he was from New
Yes.
England. He was like a transcendental guy. He invented or whatever transcendentalism, like at least in New England. And what he said was that the universe is like a cloak that the spirit is wearing. So really, everything we're doing is spiritual. And I know that resonates with across many different like like designated religions that do have like doctrine and stuff. But yeah, I think that is super spiritual. And another thing to say is that the mushrooms are neutral. Like it's not like there's certain like chemicals and plants that will pull you in a certain direction. Even just like the coca plant will like it's a stimulant. Like coffee, caffeine is it's a stimulant. It pulls you in that direction. Mushrooms are adaptogenic. So
Correct.
they are like neutral, like where they want to restore balance. So if you're taking psilocybin and more, I like what you said, the museum dose. That's a really cool way to say it. That's probably around like a gram, half a gram to a gram for most people.
Yeah.
And everybody's different with how much, what their thresholds are. It varies
Correct.
quite a bit, but and it's a way, and it's totally no, there's no right or wrong to it. You don't have to be ashamed because you need to take more to get to a certain level or less, or you don't really like to feel it, but you do still think they're helping, or you do like to feel it. Like, I really want to like reduce the stigma around it. So just as long as we're like being safe and like we're not hurting other people or like doing something that's like
We're hurting ourselves.
danger. And the more you
We're hurting
take, the
ourselves.
more
Yeah.
you need to be careful with your set and setting. But with microdosing, it's like a way to integrate it into daily life. But when you take multiple mushroom trips, as you know, because you have, if I can say that candidly, you have experience,
Yeah.
you know that they're not all rainbows and butterflies. When you start to go down into these like deep things. So when you take a journey, it's like I don't really know anyone, even the people that take the most or whatever, they don't really want to do that again for a while because it's like, it's work. Like it is
It's work.
not,
It's work.
it's
It's
work
exhausting.
on the body, it's like it can be like an exorcism. Like it can be, it can be hard.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pulling out, it's like dredging this like trauma. And it's like, but at the same time, and that's what I love about like taking mushrooms in ceremony with the larger doses, because utilizing things like drums, smudges, rattles, song, we can go up to the highs and we can go down to the lows, and we don't have to remain in a certain trauma for too long. We can go, and we don't have to remain in the high for too long, because we do want to do some of that shadow work. Like while we're in there,
Correct.
while doing this, we're there. It's like, let's do this. Like we can do this. We support each other. We're there together. And I've seen in ceremony, like people be supported by the entire group for their healings, and the group energy, like really like working on a person, and in that way working on themselves, because we are all part of this. And I remember there was like a police officer in Colombia in the Mocoa ceremony that like he was seeing like a lot of like really scary negative stuff, and the group, as a group, like experienced and not experienced, came together to like help him. And it's like there's a lot of trauma down there and here with like law enforcement, and it's like, yeah, that is actually a problem that we are all experiencing.
Trauma is part of the human experience. I mean, it's sort of, some people realize it and address it and come to grips with it and can heal it. Some people hide it, but trauma is part of the human being. There's no ifs, buts about it. But I love how you talked about that community healing, because it's, I've only had one healing ceremony in group. My other experiences have been on my own, obviously with someone with me. But that sitting in that space is something so beautiful. And for me, it was incredible because there's this healing institute here in Atlanta, um, who holds these group ceremonies, these open ceremonies. Um, and it was crazy because I went in there with intentions, and you know how it is, Gabby. I mean, you can have the most incredible intentions in the world, but when the medicine takes over, the medicine doesn't care, especially the mushrooms. It doesn't care. It's gonna show you what you need. And I had gone in with these intentions of, where does cultivating wisdom go next? Like, where do I take this next? What is really my mission? Like, what is it that some people see in me that sometimes I don't see in myself, and sometimes might cause these doubts or these fears, or and how do I work through them? And in that retreat that I talked about in Jamaica, some of my intentions were part of that. Some were resolved. There was a couple of other things that were still there. But as the medicine takes over, I get the sense of this hearing of, are you going to ask us this again? Like, again, you're going to ask this question? And, of where are you going, or where is this? We've showed you, like, if you're here with these people, it's for a reason. And what we want to show you is what goes on. Take off your blindfold and look what's going on. And I was literally transported back into an indigenous ceremony with the shamanic queens just floating around with drums, with music, with healing, with holding space with people, exactly what you talked about, that is so beautiful. And somehow we have to be able to bring back. We have to be able to create those types of situations. And like I say, we have to give these indigenous medicines and these indigenous healings and this indigenous practice back into the hands of one, starting with our indigenous people, and then go from there.
True. And
We have
also,
to.
and also, learning what we can from people who are still practicing in these ancient ways, and with respect and with as much
Mm-hmm.
gratitude and dignity as it deserves. Repeating it, learning it, and
Correct.
sharing it.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the resources to go to the Amazon, and not everyone knows where to go. So if we do it with respect, I think it's okay. Like, someone like, it could be controversial, and it's very like, it is controversial right now. It's a very like, who is indigenous, and we all have indigenous roots. It's that
All of
just
us did.
a lot
All
of
of
us
us.
have been very much disconnected from them, like from our like earth times, where
Mm.
Amanita mushroom or the psilocybin, that was what we had. That was the organic technology that we had to bring us to health, to healing, like as individuals, families, communities, and healing the
Yes.
planet, reconnecting, understanding the patterns, helping us to hunt. I mean, all of it. If we can't eat, we can't pray. Like, it's all, to me, it's all spiritual. And that's why, like, the legalization and stuff is just, it should just be a human right. But the blessing is that, it is our First Amendment right. And once we start to really understand what the freedom of religion and freedom of speech really, really means, freedom of thought, like, what does that mean? What is religion? And we start to like reclaim that right, and like come into it. It's like, it's just completely natural. And then,
Exactly.
and nobody wants you to know about the 508c1a. That's another story for another time. We'll save it for another time, because we're gonna have to wrap it up soon. But I wanted to ask you, so is that on your hat, is that what's it called? Camouflage, like army? Or is that just like, it is to represent
So
for
it's to represent the military. The military and the healing of vets is something that's really close to my heart. I have a son who's 23 years old, who's right now active in the military. He's
wow.
at this moment he's going through Army Ranger School. And I had some chance to sit with him for a couple of days during Christmas break, and realize that they're a different mentality. The people who serve this country or whatever country they serve, it's a totally different mentality, and they come out thinking differently. Um, and after being with him, for me, there came this necessity, this really desire to create something, that the moment he took off that uniform, or any of his mates took off that uniform, that someone said, "Come here. let's hold you. Let's let you know that it's going to be hard to integrate back into normal society because the world is not what you've lived for whatever time you spent serving. But we've got you, and let's work things out. Let's sort of make sure that that you come into this world, and it was almost like this need to do something after spending this time over Christmas break with him, and right after this project falls into my lap of this healing space that is doing and well, not doing the plan is there to do exactly just that. The plan is to bring in veterans and say, hey, thank you for your service. Let's bring you in and let's help you to start through somatic healing. Let's help you to do breath work. Let's help you to meditate. Let's help you to do some yoga. Let's help you to be mindful and give them these digital assets that they can take and start to work. And then from there, say, hey, maybe instead of going to the VA and getting a whole bunch of medicines, how about if we see if we can put you on a personalized microdosing protocol, right? So we can take you off of some of the medicines you're on, so we can help you sort of integrate. And then from there, hopefully graduate them to a, hey, maybe we can bring you into some community healing ceremony. That we bring in 8 vets, for 3 days and have them empty out their cups through psilocybin, through mushroom ceremonies, and have them really bond and be able to sort of move forward in their life, because it's there's a lot of hurt going on in the veteran community. That's why I wear this hat a lot, just because it's a bit of an honor. And if somehow the mushrooms can help these vets be more authentic or find healing, there's just, Gabi, there's too many of them. I've talked to too many of them that have said, you know what, I was here, and it was only because I saw my kids crying or my wife on her knees that I said, I need to get help.
Yeah.
We don't
Like
need
real help.
that. We
Yeah.
don't need to see that. We don't, that's not, and if we can do anything to help avoid that, to help prevent that, to help really heal these heroes, then I want to be part of that. And it's just so crazy that the universe, I spend this time with my son, and then next thing I know, the universe says, here's this project that's being worked on. This organization wants you to be part of it. Come bring some of your wisdom and what you can do and help us move forward. So that is why I'm wearing the camouflage in honor of my son, about how proud I am of him, in honor of all these men and women who sacrifice so much.
So much, and on so many different like levels, like even not just psychologically but like even physically, like what they go through, like physically, like the things they're exposed to that can cause, all kinds of really harsh stuff. But like being able to connect with self again may even lend to just more understanding wherever that is needed, more understanding.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, if anyone has a last thing or anything to say, please.
I did want to say to anybody on the call or anybody who sees this afterwards, cultivatingwisdom.net is the apparel brand store. I'll give you a 20% discount, gratitude 20, if you put in the code gratitude 20. Anybody that taps into this Zoom wonderful chat, we'll get you 20% discount. Again, it's about opening conversations. It's about opening conversations.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna get the Much Love shirt.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
If
okay,
someone
guys.
wrote that down, could you text it to me? Because I don't have a
Yes, and also,
Here,
and if
I'll
you guys want to
chat here. What
yes.
is it? Cultivatingwisdom.net.
Cultivatingwisdom.net.
Okay, awesome.
And if you guys want to follow me on cultivating.wisdom on Instagram, and like I tell people, look, I talk to people over 50 who want to create a safe and effective microdosing protocol. So I can talk to, if not you, your parents. If you want me to talk to your parents about microdosing, I could do that also. But you can tap into is cultivating.wisdom on Instagram, and then cultivatingwisdom.net is the apparel brand. Perfect.
Okay, I just put it in the chat. So cultivating
Thanks,
wisdom,
Gabi.
and then it was gratitude 20 for the disc.
Gratitude 20 for the discount. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and again, look, like Gabby said, I know that not everyone can manifest, hey, I'm using psychedelics, but the ones that can, or the ones that can say, you know what, have honest conversations, I think it's important that we do that. So thank everyone for tapping in. I really appreciate all of you for coming and listening and letting Gabby and us share our story.
Yeah,
Thanks,
So thank you to all of you.
thanks for taking the time, you guys. I know like it's so hard and nowadays, like, and time is so valuable. So thank you for like joining us. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Cesar. You're awesome. I just love you.
You're awesome, Gabby. I love you.
Can't wait to see you in person again. And until then,
Yes.
we'll do the online thing. And let's just close out with a little more flute to end our service. Thank you guys. Have an
Much
awesome
love to everybody.